What's going on, everybody? I hope you're doing well. My name is Bear. This is the channel for Elevon Studios, which is a video game studio. Reasons why you care about this channel: you're into indie game dev, you're into entrepreneurship, or pursuing your dreams, or you're here for a good time, just to have fun. If that sounds good to you, then you're going to have a great time. Let's go ahead and hop into it. So this week, didn't get a lot of coding done, which, as you would imagine, is pretty essential for making a game. But we did get something just as important done, and I think will help us to move even faster long term, which putting out quality fast, that's the goal. And so Elevon Studios, as a video game company, it's something that I wanted to use as and the other co-founders, a conduit of telling really good stories and making people have a good time. If you see me looking over here, it's because I took the time to write a script for this video. And so what I thought of this week, as we were in the middle of building this game, I thought, how could we move faster? Now, I've had this thought many times before, but this time I thought about templating or libraries. If you don't know what that is, so I come from a background of front-end engineering. And so a library, or even, I guess, templating does exist on the front end, but it exists in other frameworks like Shopify or WordPress or things like that. There's website templates. And so what they offer is speed. And so I thought to myself, I bet you there's something similar for video games. And sure enough, there is. And immediately I had this thought of, it's not from scratch. So is it even your game? Are you making this using other people's stuff? And then I immediately pushed that to the side. No matter what field you're in, there's always this give and take of having the ability to stand on the shoulders of people who came before you. And how thinking that from scratch is how you have to make something is a silly idea. Imagine if you're writing a story by hand with a pen and you get mad at somebody with a typewriter. And then the guy with the typewriter gets mad at somebody with a computer using Microsoft Word or Google Docs. It sounds silly, but that does creep up in your mind when it comes to things like development, using other people's stuff. So even within Unreal and Unity, which are two game engines, we're using Unreal, that already comes baked in with so much stuff that anyone who's even using those engines is already not making a game from scratch. And this idea that tools diminish your vision is absolutely silly, and that they don't diminish it, they empower it. For me personally, the way I'm looking at it is the more accessible the tools, the faster and the higher quality I can make the story. I say higher quality because I don't have to go out, if this was a food metaphor, I don't have to go out and harvest the wheat for my hamburger. I don't have to go out, harvest the wheat, mill it, grind it, turn it into flour, hand make the hamburger bun. I can just buy the buns from the store or the bakery. And then I started looking into it, and even the biggest companies as AAA studios, they use their own templates. So a lot of them had their own internal templates and frameworks and tools that they've built. And the fact that they do that is a sign that reuse of those templating, of those tools, is a sign of efficiency. It's not a lack of creativity. And in fact, I think that they empower the creativity. And people who will say things like, oh, you didn't build that, that's just a bad take. At the end of the day, so for example, every video game has an inventory system. So Mario Kart, you have an inventory system because you've got the little red shell ready to go. It's your character is holding an item. In Zelda or Mario or just about any game you could name, there's some form of inventory system. The character or the object, the thing that the player is playing, has items of some sort, or the equivalent to items. And so you can go ahead and buy a template of that, which I actually didn't know until recently. And so it just makes sense that you wouldn't reinvent the wheel. And less than answering the question of, did I build 100% of a game? I'm already sharing the building process with two other developers the other two guys who are co-founding this company. But I think players are asking themselves more of, was the experience fun? Was the story good? Does the game feel alive? I think there's the emphasis. That's where you put the energy, not in, I built the inventory system from scratch. I don't think people will care about that as much. And I think too, some nice things about templates, the way to think about them, or like pre-written code that you can pay for or share. Obviously, I'm talking about rightfully using what someone else has given you permission to use. That's what I'm talking about. And they lower the barrier of entry and allow you to be more creative, because you can take their template and put your spin on it and add or take away or change this or change that to make it unique. I know for me, the way that I approach using someone else's work that's come ahead of me, again, rightfully doing so, getting their permission, is I'm trying to make things that matter, and I'm trying to move quickly. And so I think that people who judge you for using templates or using other people's work with their permission are just not my audience, and that's okay. And so I thought a really good story that encapsulates this, one is basically an African proverb, the parable of the brickmaker. The idea is that there's a village, and the village needs a house built. There's one guy who is going to go to the mud and get the bricks, and he's going to build a kiln to heat the bricks and make the mortar and all of that from scratch. And then there's another guy who uses what was left over from previous homes, and the bricks already made, and he uses the pre-made bricks to build a nice, safe, quality home. And the takeaway is that one guy is still in the mud while the other guy is done with a finished product that's great. And so I want to be the second. I want to be the guy who is building something with the tools that are available to me. And then another one is Theseus and the ship. The idea is that the original ship, is the ship still the original ship if you've replaced every single component of that ship over time? So how this applies to this situation is the video game mine if I take parts that already exist and use them in it? It doesn't line up perfectly, but you get the idea. Where is the ship the original ship if all the parts are replaced? And is this my game if some of the parts in it are not originally mine? Sorry, some of those parts I didn't originally make. And to me, the answer is a resounding yes. Again, going back to the kitchen example and making the hamburger buns. People make these templates and they make these libraries for the explicit purpose of other people using them to help boost their progress, so that they can focus on the parts of the game that matter most to them. So this is a shorter video today, and how this relates to our project is we are pivoting. So we're still moving forward with as fast as we can to make a quality game, but we are going to institute some templates, and we're going to make changes to the project. And I think that it's all but settled. Essentially, the current game that we're working on now will still exist. We're putting it on the shelf. We're going to move forward with a different game. And I think that this one actually aligns more with our vision, where the emphasis is going to be on a great story. The other one was more about fun for fun's sake. Nothing wrong with that. Totally into that. In fact, we still want to do that project, but we're going to move to this other one, which I think will be just as good, if not better. And I look forward to telling you guys all about it. Me and the other two guys have a meeting today, and we're trying to figure out exactly what we're doing moving forward, but we're close to a decision, and that's it. And I hope you all have a great day today. I think the core takeaway from this is to use all the tools available to make your dreams come true. Don't let other people talk you into making things harder than they need to be just because they have weird stipulations and judgments about reality. Just move forward with the quality and the speed that you think are good. And at the end of the day, the audience will tell you if your speed and quality are good. And that's all that matters. I hope you're having a wonderful day today. And if you haven't already, consider supporting us on Patreon. It takes money to pay the bills, and anything that you all would like to donate will go directly to making these games, to making the dreams come true. If you can't do that, just follow us on social media, share our content, and that's it. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you next time.